I'm going to be comparing the differences between VVS1 and VVS2. I'm going to explain the differences, why one person would choose one over the other, and I'll give you great explanations as to why some people will actually choose a VVS2 over a VVS1. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is the episode for you, especially if you are in the market looking for a graded natural diamond, graded lab-grown diamond, graded moissanite, graded any gemstone that has a clarity grade. Okay, so if you are researching, then you fell into the right channel. We are here, Fire and Brilliance. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you are into content like this and if you've been watching for a long time, then thank you so much. All right, let's get into this. What is the difference between a VVS1 and VVS2 clarity grade diamond? If we're talking about clarity grades, you have to understand the 4 C's. If you have not watched any of our previous versions of this episode, then I would highly recommend that you do that. I'll make sure I link it in the comment section below so that you can know the 4 C's. Okay, so when you're purchasing a graded lab-grown diamond, natural diamond, or moissanite, typically you are looking for cut clarity, carat weight, as well as color. When you are referring, or when people are referring to VVS1 or VVS2, they are referring to the clarity grade, right? So why would people choose a VVS1 or VVS2? All a VVS stands for is very, very slightly included. Regardless if it's a 1 or 2, it means the same thing. Very, very slightly included. You may ask, what is an inclusion? An inclusion is all it is an imperfection in the gemstone. Again, that's an imperfection or a mineral that's been trapped in there, or an element that's been trapped in there, or any cloud. You may actually have heard that, a white cloud, right? That's been trapped in there. Typically, it looks either black, brown, or white, right? That's inside of the diamond. And if something that's trapped in there is called an inclusion or an imperfection, right? And the more inclusions that are in the gemstone, typically, the less expensive it is. The clearer the gemstone is, the more expensive it is. That's just how it's been graded from the beginning of the grading scale. Okay, so what does this mean? So, well, a graded gemstone, what it takes is that for a gemologist or a laboratory, a gem laboratory, to grade the diamond, lab-grown diamond or natural diamond or moissanite, and for them to verify and confirm whether or not inside of the gemstone, how clear is it? That's really a grade of clarity, or how clear is the diamond. Now, when you're referring to a VVS1 or a VVS2, basically these two grades are just right under two of the top grades. It goes from flawless to internally flawless to VVS1 to VVS2, the VS1, VS2, SI1, SI2, SI3, I1, I2, and I3. So those are all the clarity grades. Now, when you're referring to a VVS1 or VVS2, you may ask, well, what's the difference? Why would I choose one over the other? Why would I pay for one over the other? Let's break that down. A VVS1 versus a VVS2, when you're comparing the two, the VVS1 is actually the higher grade. So the question is, well, what is the difference, Michael? Get to the point. The difference here is this. Both gemstones, they're very, very, very difficult to identify the inclusion or the imperfection in the gemstone, or with the naked eye rather, okay? The difference here is that if you are able to look into the gemstone with a 10 times magnification, regardless of a loupe or a microscope or what have you, if you were to look into the gemstone, then you will be able to find the minute, very, very slightly included inclusion, okay? So the difference between a VVS1 and VVS2 is where it's actually located, or how big of the small inclusion it is. So if it's a little more noticeable, then it will typically fall under a VVS2. Whereas if it's less noticeable, if it's a little more hidden, then it will typically be graded as a VVS1. And I'm actually a certified diamond gemologist from a school called the Gemological Institute of America. Okay, so this is something that I'm speaking on behalf of something that I've actually studied. So when you're looking at a VVS1 versus a VVS2, the true difference is where that small, minute inclusion is located. Typically, a VVS1, the inclusion would be hidden in an area where it's very hard to see, such as in the outer edges of the gemstone, under a facet where it's maybe hidden on the corner edges of the gemstone where it's harder to see, maybe a little under the pavilion a little bit, right, where it's very hidden and kind of small. Whereas a VVS2, it's also very, very, very hard to see unless you're using a magnification. Again, both of these gemstones, if you don't have a magnification, chances are you're not going to be able to see it with the naked eye. Okay? You're not going to be able to see it with the naked eye. But the difference here is that the VVS2, the inclusion will be a little more apparent if you're to look at it under a loop. It may be a little closer to the center of the gemstone, or the inclusion may be a little bigger than that of a VVS1, or there may be 2 or 3 small, minute inclusions, whereas the VVS1 may only have 1 or a tiny 1 or 2 inclusion that's hidden around the edges of the gemstone where it's very hard to locate. And that's truly the only difference, all right? So now, why would people choose a VVS1 over a VVS2 or a VVS2 over a VVS1? It really depends on what you are into at the end of the day. Really, truly, at the end of the day, are you a particular person that only wants the VVS1 because you want the higher grade? Now, if you are that type of person, then that is typically the person that would choose the VVS1 because they want the higher grade. They want to know that they have the higher grade of the VVS family. Okay? Now, people that choose the VVS2, typically those are the people that usually want the most bang for their buck, because they know that with the naked eye, it's almost impossible to see unless you have some kind of laser vision, okay? And it's so hard to see unless you have a 10 times loop or a magnification or a microscope to actually find it, regardless if it's a VVS1 or VVS2. And if they want to maximize their budget, then they're going to choose a VVS2. Because the difference in pricing between a VVS1 to a VVS2 can be quite significant the larger the stone is, okay? So those are the difference. So what kind of a person are you? Are you a VVS1 person or are you a VVS2 person? Are you a type of person that said, hey, if I'm going to spend this type of money for a VVS anyway, I'm going to go for the best, which is a VVS1? Or are you the type of person that says, hey, if I'm going to go for a VVS, why not maximize the most bang for my buck? It's going to look the same with a naked eye. I might as well save a couple of bucks and maybe upgrade the size of the stone, or maybe upgrade the color of the stone, or maybe upgrade the cut of the stone, as opposed to going for the VVS1 when you can't really see the difference with the naked eye, right? So I hope you guys really enjoy the content here. Did I make it clear for you guys, right? So if it's something that you'd like to see more of, make sure you leave in the comment section below. If you know anybody that's actually looking for this content, make sure that you share this message. We do this for you guys. And if you're new to the channel, as always, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. It doesn't take that long, just to tap right there and hit the like button, and I will make another video just for you, okay? I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.